Former Derby County Academy product Jason Knight could have a massive impact on Derby County's summer transfer window as he looks set for a potential move to the Premier League over the course of this summer transfer window. Now, Jason Knight was a massive part of Derby County's squad from a young age after sitting on the bench in the playoff semi-final against Leeds United and also the playoff final against Aston Villa under Frank Lampard. Jason Knight then became a regular for Derby County under Philip Cocu from then until the start of the season under Paul Warne back in 2023-24, where he made the move to Bristol City for a fee rumoured to be in and around £2 million. Now, there's big conversations over Jason Knight at the moment, who is current captain of Bristol City and is contracted until the end of June 2027. Now, he's 24 years old now with 37 Ireland caps with 1 goal to his name for Ireland. He's valued at €5 million and there is a ton of interest from Premier League clubs, most notably that of Everton, who are currently managed by David Moyes, and they are seriously considering a move in the coming weeks over the course of this transfer. Now, this season he's played 50 games, scoring 3, assisting 6 times, playing 4,430 minutes across the course of those midfield areas, and across the course of his career he's made a ton of appearances, 324 including under 18s and Premier League 2, 43 goals, 26 assists with 25,280 minutes to his name. Now, the conversation about Jason Knight purely stems around whether there is a sell-on clause included in the sale from Derby County to Bristol City. Now, Derby County extended the option on his contract, which gave him an extra year, which meant that Bristol City had to pay a fee for the Irish midfielder. That fee was rumoured at the time to be in and around the £2 million mark, with potential add-ons involved as well. Now, for Derby County, we do know that Derby County like to chuck in a sell-on fee. We've seen it with Liam Delap, Amari Kellyman, Cade Gordon, even the likes of Jaden Bogle as well, which sort of then opens up the conversation to, is there one in this deal? Now, in my opinion, if there isn't, Derby County are absolutely stupid. Now, there is some reports suggesting that Derby County have a sell-on fee of between 5% to 20%. They're the different figures that I've seen. Obviously, each figure represents a different value based on the transfer. And obviously, there's then the conversation of, is it 5% of any profit Bristol City make, or is it 5% of the total transfer fee? Because there's a load of different sort of sell-on fees that you can come to the agreement of when it comes to these sorts of signings. Now, for Derby County, obviously for them this summer, they'd love Jason Knight to get a move to the Premier League, whether it be Everton, whether it be another Premier League club, even if it's one of those being promoted from the Championship right now. I think it would be a great sort of conversation to have about Derby County's summer essentially being based on sell-on fees again, because last summer we saw Jaden Bogle where Derby County received a small fee, Amari Kellyman where I believe we received around £2 million, Liam Delap I believe we received around £1.5 million. There was another move which went through where Derby County got some money from as well, and we ended up using our summer budget was them sell-on fees essentially, which obviously then helped Derby County sort of push themselves to bring in players like Kenzo Heldmine, to bring in Jakob Vidal-Zetterstrom. Obviously we brought in Ibu Adams as well, which were obviously important players to Derby County's survival and important players to Derby County's season. But if Jason Knight was to go for £10-15 million, and let's say it's 5%, Derby County would receive a couple of £1,000,000, and that would really help Derby County. As of right now, no investment has been announced as I'm recording this video, but there is an interview with Stephen Pearce tonight. Obviously, when you're watching this, it'll probably have already been out, and I probably would have already discussed it on the channel. But without that announcement of investment, Derby County is sort of looking at other avenues where they can sort of build revenue, and I don't really think there's any sort of academy players who we could really pick up some money from. Obviously, the only real player with sell-on value in our squad are the likes of Kane Wilson, Sondre Langas and Jakob Vidal-Zetterstrom, and I can't see us getting rid of them given the fact we've stayed up. So obviously that then opens the conversation of how are Derby County going to fund transfers this summer, and if I'm completely honest with you, I really don't know, and I am really sort of hopeful that this deal does get done between Jason Knight, between Bristol City and between Everton maybe, or wherever he does end up, because I think it's massively important that Derby County get some money in the door to be able to bolster their squad. We've already had reports of a couple of signings that Derby County have been chasing after. Obviously the likes of Cody Drammer, Oscar Frullo, just a few to name to you that I've spoke about on the channel. But this move of Jason Knight does then sort of open up that conversation for Derby County to be able to spend a little bit more money and maybe go a little bit further afield. Now, let's just talk about Jason Knight. Now, ultimately, he is a very, very good player. I'm not going to deny that in any sort of capacity. And he's got so much better since being at Bristol City. Do not get me wrong. Like, he's their captain now. And over the course of his time there, he's got 10 goals and 10 assists and 102 appearances, which I think is equal to that of what he did at Derby County over the course of a much longer period. And I just think the versatility that he shows, the work rate, the effort, it shows so much. And I even think he is decent technically, in my opinion. I'm not saying he's the best player in the world technically, but he has enough ability to be able to sort of, in my opinion, play at that next level. He's not going to be sort of one of those players that's beating your man like 3 or 4 times, putting a cross in the box, but he'll work his socks off, he'll chuck himself into tackles, and he is a very, very good player. Now, obviously when he was at Derby County, like, he was obviously sort of still sort of learning the type of player that he wanted to be and the positions that he wanted to play. And I feel like for Derby, the big problem was that he was so versatile, we didn't know where to play him. And obviously under Liam Rosenior played at right back, under Paul Warren played at right wing back, right wing, left wing, in the number 10, played as a second striker on occasion. I think that was one of the worst things that happened to Jason Knight, if I'm completely honest, was sort of not really having that main position and coming through the academy as a player who can play in a range of positions. Yes, it gives you a better opportunity to play for the first team, but it certainly does sort of drop those conversations about sort of becoming sort of a mainstay in the team, because yes, he did do that eventually at Derby County, but the problem was at that point he couldn't score. He was struggling to create chances and ended up not being sort of the figure that everyone expected him to be when Derby County went down to League One. And I personally believe that some players can perform up to a level, whereas some players drop to a level. And I think that's sort of the same thing, really. And I sort of think Jason Knight is sort of in that category. If you put him with higher quality players, I think he's going to be a much better player. If you play him with lesser quality players, I think he's going to look 10 times worse. And I think that was what we saw with Derby County and Jason Knight when he was in, obviously, League One with Derby. I think he was incredible across the course of his few seasons in the Championship. Ultimately, in 2020, 2021, wasn't very impactful in an attacking sense. Same the season after, really. And he missed a lot of chances. And whether he still does the same now at Bristol City, I'm not entirely sure. I can't say I watch them every week. But he is still a very, very good, very, very talented player. And I think Bristol City will probably be asking for in the region of 10 to 15 million pounds. And hopefully some of that will trickle down to Derby County, and that will help Derby County make some moves in the summer. Now, if you have not done so already, make sure you hit that subscribe button, you turn on that notification bell. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Hit the like button as well, and I'll catch you in my next video.